following is a presentation of 4-Star Sports Media.
What's up, everybody? It is your boy ZK and MC coming to you ringside from the Sidecar Cafe Arena. Go check them out there in the heart of Memphis. Rick and the guys take care of us every time we go to Memphis to do a show, and they got a new one coming up in South Haven, Mississippi. And check this out, y'all. May 5th and 6th, we're going to be in there live for micro wrestling, midget wrestling, little people wrestling, whatever you want to call it. But what's up, MC?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Well, I tell you, man, it's kind of crazy here in Arkansas.
More of it coming, too.
Yeah. If most of you who are fans of 4-Star Sports Media didn't see, last night I had to storm chase. I'm a certified storm chaser with the National Weather Service, and it got hairy.
Yeah, it pretty much stayed south of us here in Northeast Arkansas, but I had a lot of friends and relatives down in the areas that were the hot spots. So I was shooting off a lot of texts last night.
Oh yeah, I was firing off a lot of text. I was and it was it was weird. 30 runs from Texarkana all the way up into Little Rock and beyond. I was coming up 30 right there at Benton and Bryant out by my house. And out where I was, it was all quiet. There was no birds. There was no wind. There was nothing.
Never a good sign.
You jump on 30. Not even 500 yards from my front door. And there was a complete wall of water.
Oh, wow.
Visibility went from about a mile to about 2 feet in a matter of seconds. So hope everybody's staying safe with this weather in the area, and we've got more coming tonight. And don't feel bad. I'm not storm chasing tonight. I'm hunkered down at home, and I'm actually going to get some rest tonight. But got a big show. We were going to have our UFC guy on tonight, but he is out sick, and we hope Andy feels better. We're going to try to get him on next week to kind of recap what happened last Saturday. Bum, of course, has a family emergency, I do believe, so he is out of here this week as well. We may be joined by Wes Pruitt, who is the host of the Point podcast over in Memphis. We may be joined by him later on tonight. But, dude, get the word out. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Turn your notifications on for anything 4-Star Sports Media. Check us out on the web at 4star.live. That is the number 4 SASTAR. I can't spell MC. .live LIVE, and that is not autocorrect to LOVE. So you're going to put that in there. We don't want to know about it. But thank you everybody for joining us ringside. Like I said at the top of the show, inside the Sidecar Cafe Arena. Okay, so because I was out storm chasing and other responsibilities last night, I did not get to see WWE Monday Night Raw in its entirety, but I did read a follow-up. And all I have to say is, the hell?
That was pretty much my reaction too.
Like, it's like, MC, it's almost like, and I've seen this happen the last couple of years since about WrestleMania 30, that between WrestleMania and probably mid-June towards SummerSlam, it's just kind of flat. I mean, I know you got Backlash, you've got Money in the Bank, you've got Night of Champions, but you're kind of left with, what the hell?
Yeah, there's a couple times there's a little bit of a low point after Survivor Series until they start doing build up for the Royal Rumble, and you kind of get the same thing after WrestleMania and Backlash, basically until they start the build for SummerSlam. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just kind of it's almost like there's filler that none of the storylines are really going to last. It's basically just filler until they hit a certain point, and then they can start prepping for SummerSlam. And I feel like that, we've got a little bit of Backlash loading up going on, but for the most part, outside of a couple things, like Cody Seth Part 2, outside of that, I think we're starting to get some of that filler, and I think we'll see more and more of that as we get closer to, the late spring, early summer.
Yeah, well, I mean, my biggest thing is why didn't we see Edge's stable grow? Why didn't we see somebody else? Why didn't we see somebody else like, I'm going to butcher his name, Tommaso Ciampa, whatever.
Yeah.
Or
the Blackheart,
Yeah.
I think he would be perfect for that stable.
Yeah. And then you add in, throw Rhea Ripley in there.
Oh, that'd be good too.
She could be, here's the thing. Most people are going to dog on me for this. But when I look at Rhea Ripley, I look at this generation's version of China almost.
I could almost see that. I could see some resemblance there
not
way.
Not build, but the character.
Yes, I can see that. I can see that. And she has, she's more athletic in the ring, but she does have some of the power moves that China had in her, repertoire. How about that? Repertoire. Ooh.
There you go.
I said it twice in a row without messing it up. How about that?
MC's bringing the big words out tonight.
But yeah, I mean, I could see some similarities there. Obviously she's not, the muscular, what they call her, the ninth wonder of the world. I think
ninth wonder of the world.
Ninth, whatever. Andre was one, she was the other. So, but yeah, I mean, I think she would be good.
Now, there's a dream match on WWE 2K22.
There you go. But she's pretty hot commodity in the women's division right now. That seems like everything she does turns out pretty well. She's not exactly my cup of tea, but I do respect what she does in the ring.
You feel about Rhea Ripley the way that I feel about Shayna Baszler.
Yeah,
Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler was one of the original four horsewomen.
Yeah, careful.
Coming over from UFC. Horse people. Well, no, horse. Anyway,
just making sure you got that S in there.
Yeah. Well, hey. Whoa, easy there, buddy. And when she debuted and had her Elimination Chamber match, she blew through everybody.
Yeah.
And now she's just a mid-card jobber.
Yeah. I don't know. See, it's moves like that just have me kind of scratching my head at times. It's almost like there's just, everything's going good, and then all of a sudden somebody will tick off the wrong person behind stage, and everything goes to the toilet. And maybe that's it. Maybe I'm imagining things. I don't know, but
boy, doesn't that sound familiar?
I mean, we've seen that happen before with different superstars. So I don't know. It's hard to. I think there's a lot of talent that's not being used properly, especially
there's
in the
a ton of
division.
There's a ton of talent that's not being used properly. Tons.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I kind of like I said, I'm just scratching my head at times when it comes to the women's division and what it could be versus what it is.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be Jack Sparrow and doing all the hand stuff. I left my window open a little bit too long, and these little gnat things got in. So.
Oh, those are the worst, man.
Oh, I hate those. But no, and as I was reading the recap, Cody, of course, doing his thing, doing fantastic at it. Rollins, you couldn't pair him with anybody better than Rollins right now. Maybe AJ.
And he and the Miz had a good exchange last night. And
I saw that match. I watched it on YouTube.
And the promo and the match both. I mean, it was all really good. I mean, it just kind of goes back to I kind of feel like Cody could work with a broom if he had to. He just makes all his opponents look really good. Yeah. There you go, for grandson of a plumber. So well done, sir. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he can work with anybody. And it's,
when I'm on one, I'm on one. So
hey, there you go.
But what are they doing with Sonya Deville?
Well, okay, so she's finally going to get back in the ring now. She's been out with an injury for what feels like forever, as playing,
because wasn't she part? What tag team was she part of?
Oh gosh, you put me on the spot now, man. It's been so long since I've seen her in the ring. I can't remember.
Well, and you don't have to name, but that's about how long she's been out of the ring, because after that tag team broke up, she disappeared for a while because it was the I Quit WWE, and then all of a sudden she comes back and she is a authority figure with Adam Pearce. And then she's starting to get more involved in matches and everything. And so I don't know what's going on there. And then you have Jerry Lawler. Oh, Jerry the King Lawler.
It was great to see the King back on commentary last night, or color commentary.
It was. However, I read some of the things about him, and it almost looked like he was not paying attention to the matches in front of him at all.
Well, they were in Detroit last night, so he could have been looking over his shoulder. I don't know.
I was going to say I'd be looking over my shoulder, but and I'm in Central Arkansas right now, and if you guys know anything about Little Rock right now,
be looking over your shoulder there too. But yeah, King, he may just had a little rust to knock off, and in all honesty, he's not. Jimmy Smith and Byron Saxton are not Jim Ross. So he's not going to have the same chemistry with those two guys that he had with JR. And honestly, all those years that he and JR worked together, all of us wrestling fans got spoiled because they were among the best in the biz.
Even when JR stepped away and the voice of WWE, Michael Cole, stepped in, even they had pretty good chemistry, except for WrestleMania 27 and 28.
Yeah.
Or was it? It was 27. Yeah. Was it 27?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, it was a very lackluster show, to say the least.
Yeah. I took one of the accounts I follow on Twitter, one of the wrestling accounts, put up like an immediate show reaction. Is like, okay, grade the show. I gave it a C. It's just, I don't know, man. There were some good things. Obviously, the segment, the Miz TV segment with Cody was great. Cody's match was great.
Hello, I am Ezekiel.
Yeah, Ezekiel.
That's Elias. Don't you lie to me.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. There was some good comedy there.
You know what they're trying to do to him, right?
What?
They're trying to force him out.
Oh, kind of like they did the Revival.
Mm-hmm. Don't be surprised if he is the new Stardust.
I could see that. Yeah.
I can't. I
mean, I liked Elias, man.
He looks so weird with that beard, man.
Yeah, he doesn't look right at all.
He looks like a roided up Stu Pickles from the Rugrats.
It kind of reminds me of like a roided up Lanny Poffo, with the especially last night when he came out with the pink tights. That was
The name's Ezekiel.
Elias is my brother. Yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know where they're going with that. I don't know what they're going to do there. Tommaso Ciampa mentioned
Chomp
that,
champ.
yeah, he mentioned that he's not hard to please when it comes to booking. So I think he's one of those guys who's just, he's like the fat kid at the buffet. He's just happy to be there.
Now
And
look, all right,
he's
I'm
gonna.
offended by that because
I'm a former fat kid.
Why are you gonna take a dig at me? All right.
No, that's on me as much as it is anybody, man. Anybody knows me when I was younger, man. I was a little porky. So anyway,
but overall, I mean, I get you only have a certain amount of time between pay-per-views,
right,
to build storylines, but come on, have one match on the card.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, the biggest flop of the night was the bachelorette party segment with Tamina, Dana Brooke.
That made absolutely no sense.
I mean, that was okay. We've got 10 minutes to fill and we don't know what to do. So instead of putting a couple guys out here and giving them a match, let's just, let's bring in a bunch of indie guys to, portray themselves as strippers at this bachelorette party and then throw R-Truth out there and just see if his comedy can save it. And dude, I'm over R-Truth. Okay. I mean, it was funny for a while. It was funny for a while, but it's the same thing over and over and over. This is the same argument I've had about Raw, especially for quite a while, is that it's predictable. It's the same thing over and over. And there's at least one segment out of the show that you walk away from saying, what in the world was that?
But see, I walked away from the whole thing reading that.
Well, last night was one of those. The Usos being there was a nice touch.
That was another thing and you beat me to it. Does Vince just not trust anybody else with the belts that they're putting all the gold and unifying all the gold on the bloodline?
On the bloodline? It may be that, or it may be, kind of a, if you remember way back in the day, at one time, and I'm not comparing the bloodline to the Horsemen other than this one aspect here, okay? Because the bloodline will never be the Horsemen. But at one time, you had the Horsemen, they had all the belts. Rick had the heavyweight title, Arn and Tully had the tag titles, and then I think Barry Windham had the U.S. Championship. So
I think was it the U.S. Championship or was it the Intercontinental?
It may have been. I don't remember. He had whatever the next biggest belt was. So
it might have been the IC belt then.
Yeah, but I just remember Arn Anderson cutting a promo about them having all the gold. I remember that. That's what stuck out to me. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking, maybe what they're trying to do here is something similar to what was done with that, and we're talking, unless you're a longtime wrestling fan, you're not going to remember that. So what feels like something fresh right now is basically a rehashed idea from 35 years ago.
90% of the things going on right now are rehashed ideas from years ago.
That's what professional wrestling is. Very seldom do you have. Yeah. If very seldom do you get fresh ideas. And when you do, they end up being the lightning in the bottle. And it doesn't last. And then somebody down the road will try to recreate it, and it's not the same.
The one thing that actually did stick, and this is a segue into my next topic, then the one thing that did stick, that lightning bolt that did stick, pun intended, The Undertaker.
Yep.
The way and again, we talk about it every week because he's my favorite dude. And he is still in the news. I mean, he is still something big to talk about. But the way that he went from the dead man, the Ministry of Darkness, back to the dead man, the Brothers of Destruction, American Badass, to the last match of his career where he added in everybody. It was the unholy trinity, as you would.
Yeah.
Okay. He's one of those people. And later this summer, when there's a lull and everything, we're going to break down the wrestlers of all time of, this guy was a perfect heel. This guy was a perfect baby face. This guy could play both. So that's something to look forward to. But The Undertaker gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. He teases the crowd and says, "Never say never." And then news breaks today that he's going to have a podcast. So, MC, when you sign a Legends contract with WWE, there's apparently a clause in that contract that says once you enter the Hall of Fame, you have to do a podcast.
You have to do a podcast, yeah.
Stone Cold's got the Broken Skull Sessions. Edge and Christian had one a while back.
Yep.
Jericho had one, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. And now Undertaker's got one.
Well, and if you remember, Flair had one for a while. It kind of flamed out. It didn't live up to what everybody expected it to be. But
it lost its flair.
Yeah.
I know that was corny, but you know what?
He didn't have enough pieces of Flair.
Right?
Oh, how about that?
There you go. But no, and what do we have any idea of what this podcast is going to be? I mean,
yeah, I don't know, man. I haven't heard many details on it. I haven't seen a whole lot released other than he's going to do it and it's going to be on the Peacock app. So I don't know if it's going to be more like Broken Skull Sessions or if it's going to be more like some of the podcasts that Conrad Thompson and maybe Bruce Pritchard, the Something to Wrestle, where they basically just recap things throughout history. I'm kind of hoping it's, I hope it's history through Taker's eyes.
Yes, that was what I was fixing to say. I hope it's things that he saw through his 30 plus years, and not just WWE, not just from 1990 until he retired. I'm talking when he was Big Texas Red, and before that, coming up and coming in the circuit.
To talk about the time he spent in Memphis, as the Punisher. I would love to hear a little bit about his time in Memphis and then over to World Class and then over to WCW. I mean, we know why he left WCW. He was told that you're never
make any money.
You're never going to draw a dime.
And he ended up being the biggest
to think about now.
Yeah, but that's what happens. That's what happens when Vince is on one, and he has these ideas. And he lets these guys go with it, like Edge, Randy Orton. Randy Orton's perfect example.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, The Rock. All right. John Cena. The big names. When you've got that's lightning in a bottle. You capture it and you ride that wave as long as you can.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got guys like Ted DiBiase Jr., Tyson Kidd, R-Truth. You want to look at today's roster. The Fiend.
Oh, man.
All right. The Fiend. And here's
I
the
miss
thing.
Bray Wyatt, man.
If they would have kept The Fiend going, Undertaker was on his way out. The Fiend was talking about a higher power. The father figure, right?
Yep, I see where you're going.
See
My
where I'm
mind was
going with
going
it?
the same place.
It turns out to be a creation of The Undertaker.
Yeah.
You keep that lightning bolt going. You keep that lineage going. You don't tarnish. Because here's the thing. You won't tarnish the legacy of The Undertaker if you keep the lineage going.
Yeah.
You expanded on it with Kane. You expanded on it with Paul Bearer. You had a character that was at the height of his popularity, and you kill it?
Yeah, I think I go back to what I said earlier about there being some backstage heat somewhere or something, because, for Bray Wyatt to get caught up in that mass release of talent that they had back, what was that, maybe 6 months ago now? I didn't understand it, unless maybe he wanted out and there was a mutual decision made. I hated to see him go, and I'll tell you someone else who hated to see him go, Alexa Bliss, because
where's she been?
She just got married.
Well, but they made this whole big deal. They made this whole big deal of Alexa Bliss's journey back to Raw,
right?
And they had all these vignettes. She had like 2 matches. You didn't see her at WrestleMania. You didn't see her on a Monday Fall.
Yeah. And it could be just another case of we don't have anything for you right now. So she goes off and she marries Ryan Cabrera, and she may get. I mean, she may not come back. I don't know.
You will literally see a grown man cry.
You'll see two of them
because
she's my favorite.
That's my girl right there, man. Now, on the flip side of that, I'm glad to see Lacey Evans making her way back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, long time coming as well.
They have dropped the sassy Southern Belle, and they're letting her be Lacey Evans.
Mm-hmm.
No gimmick, no, it's look. I come up. I'm a Marine. You're about to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
That's kind of turning her hotness meter on the up and up, if you know what I mean. Look, man, I have a thing. Look, I got a thing for women who can kick ass. So,
who doesn't, man? That's But I'm glad to see her get to be a little more of her personality, because the whole I like the concept of the sassy Southern Belle, but it wasn't working.
No.
Not for me. For me personally, it was not working. And
I don't like the way they're burying my girl Liv Morgan.
Yeah, see, I don't really understand that one either.
If you're going to give her a title, if you're going to put the title on her, put the title on her. If you're not going to give her a legit title shot, then keep her on the mid card.
Yeah, again, man, I go back to the misuse of talent in the women's division right now. It's a head scratcher.
It's not just in the women's division. It's
across the board. Yeah.
Oh, we got a surprise visit. Hang on, dude. We're going to bring in the third member of our broadcast team here in the Sidecar Cafe studio arena.
We got a run in.
Bum!
I'm here.
Hot tag. What's up, Bum?
Bum with the run in.
What's going on?
Oh, we're just chatting up WWE and the misuse of talent in the women's division and across the roster as a whole.
I got you. Yeah, that's a ever long list.
Yeah.
That's an evergreen discussion. You can just change the names.
We can talk about that forever.
Change the names, but the results stay the same, because it feels like there's always somebody, multiple somebodies who are not being utilized up to their ability.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at guys like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens right now.
I disagree with that, Bum. I think they did pretty. I think they were the stars of WrestleMania, to be honest with you.
I could agree, but before this whole push, sorry, I was chewing on ice. Before this whole push with them at WrestleMania, where were they? Nowhere to be found. They
were
in
mid card,
not doing anything. And I'm scared, with no Stone Cold to back it up with Kevin, and no more Johnny Knoxville with Sami Zayn, they're going to get put right back. I mean, look at guys like Shinsuke Nakamura. They're finally giving him a bit of a push to go up against Roman.
All it took was Rick Boogs blowing his knee out.
Yeah, and Shinsuke he's one of those guys that's just he's a special talent, but I don't think WWE fans particularly understand his strong style of wrestling.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Because, I mean, the guy in Japan was an absolute just legend.
Yeah.
They loved him. And that's not to say nobody in America loves him, but the American WWE fan, the product that you're giving them is completely different from what you're giving out in Japan. So for a fan like your casual WWE fan to adapt and be able to get into Shinsuke it takes a little bit longer. Now that you're giving him this push, his second big push, I believe, in the company, you're gonna get more fans behind him and everything. I mean, the guy's awesome. I mean, he's got a dope entrance. He's a great wrestler. The only thing he doesn't have is he's not. Now? Do what?
I just had an idea.
Yes, who's going to play the guitar now that Rick has blown his knee?
I just got an idea.
Let Ezekiel play guitar for
yes.
Yes.
Shinsuke.
Yes, I love it.
That would be incredible.
That would. Yeah. Hello, I am Ezekiel.
Oh man, that would be hilarious.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, Shinsuke. I have been a fan of Nakamura since before he came to NXT, when he was, when he and AJ Styles and Osaka and some of those guys over in Japan, they had the battles that they had. When I saw him come to NXT, and then the night he debuts, he and Sami Zayn just tear the house down with his debut match. I'm sitting here thinking, man, they're gonna put the rocket on this guy, and they're gonna, he's gonna go to the top pretty quick. And they and I kept hoping, okay, Nakamura and AJ. And when they finally gave it to us, man, it was so lackluster from what we had seen of those two previously outside of WWE. I was so disappointed in that feud because there was so much more that could have happened there than what they gave us.
Completely agree. Agree.
But I'm like you guys though. I'm kind of glad to see him get a push towards Roman. With the ability that he has in the ring, I think there's potential there for that to be a really, really good match when it does happen. But when does it happen? Do you put that to SummerSlam, or do you try to force that into one of these lesser pay-per-views in the summer?
Okay, so
well,
I have a 2-year plan that I put in the message last night. I think Zach read it.
I need to go back and look at that.
We'll go over it in a little bit. But for Shinsuke, I think this is probably a one-off. And then you go on to Money in the Bank and everything like that for your lead into SummerSlam. I think this is just a one-off for Shinsuke, just to figure out what they're going to do with him for the time being. Of course, he'll probably get lost in the mid card again. Like
at what point? What they've been dropping Easter eggs, and we're slapping a dead horse here, fellas. But at what point do you start the build of Roman Rock at WrestleMania 39?
Okay, so here's my 2-year plan. Since you've already asked that question,
hold on. We're gonna jump into it. We got to go to a quick break, Bum, and then we come back. We're gonna hit your plan. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right. You're watching Falls Count Anywhere from the Sidecar Cafe Arena here on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Back in a minute. Welcome back to the Sidecar Cafe Arena. Here,
watching that whole break just made me hungry.
But welcome back to the Sidecar Cafe Arena, Falls Count Anywhere show on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. ZK, MC, and Bum hanging out with you tonight for what is now a very calm Tuesday night. It will not be that way for very much longer.
Yep.
Bum, you haven't experienced this yet. It's headed your way in the next day or two, but it's been kind of bumpy here in Arkansas as in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, what you had yesterday passed over us this morning. Didn't have a whole lot. Had a little bit of thunder.
Yeah, it was.
You
got lucky
on the phone last night. I think it usually just dies down when it hits the river.
Yeah,
and it really doesn't do too much here. But okay, I got my 2-year plan, guys. Y'all want to hear it?
Hey, hold on, Bum. Your audio is kind of weird.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's kind of spotty, but we got you, Bum.
Okay, well, I'm going to back out and come back in.
All right.
Ultimate tease on the 2-year plan. I'm interested to see, because I didn't see the message last night in our
I'm
little
gonna let him.
chat.
I'm gonna let him have it. But it's. I mean, it's something I can get behind. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's one of those that kind of gets you thinking. You're like, no, I can actually see that unfolding.
Yeah.
Is that better?
That's
much better. Much better.
Okay. All right. So my 2-year plan, fellas. Give me a little drum roll here.
I'm working on it. We're upgrading our we're upgrading our tech. We're upgrading our tech in the next couple of weeks here at 4-Star Sports Media. So I'll have a drum roll here in about a month or so.
Cool. All right. So we're gonna start going to Backlash. I think you get Roman. I mean, he's the longest reigning Universal Champion of all time. I think you keep the belt on him, and then you go to Money in the Bank. Here's what you do at Money in the Bank. You have Cody Rhodes challenge Roman Reigns, issue a challenge for the belt, and you have Cody lose to Roman. That's your they're making it one of the big 5 pay-per-views this year. Money in the Bank is, which makes all the sense in the world because it names the number 1 contender at any time. So basically it gives you a title belt for that person who wins that match. And then it also gives you a chance to have a title match and maybe change the hand of the title. Well, I think at Money in the Bank, you have Roman go over. Excuse me. And then you go from there. Well, you lead into SummerSlam. That's where you give Cody Rhodes the belt. That's where everybody from now is sick of Roman. They want Cody to get his dad's legacy. That makes him he's already a big baby face, but it makes him an even bigger baby face. I mean, Zach, you didn't watch Raw last night, did you?
I was preoccupied storm chasing.
Yeah. That match last night between Cody and Miz was awesome. And, I mean, Miz will make you look good, but yes. Cody just made Miz look like a great wrestler. And he's not. He's just good on the mic. I mean,
thank you for that image, by the way, Bum. The Storm Chaser image. That was great. It's up on our website if you haven't seen it
yet. Yes, it is awesome.
That's good stuff.
But I mean, Snapchat, you cut some faces off of photos, you add things onto a truck, it makes it look good. But
no comment.
Back to this whole Cody thing. You give Cody the belt at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, a place where his dad wrestled when he got his start. It means the world to that family. It means the world to Cody Rhodes. And I believe around July is when they're releasing Dusty Rhodes' documentary, which will be really, really good. It's a great thing to put him on the belt on him then. Then you go to Survivor Series. Well, that's the time when so you think of guys returning. Triple H made a return at Survivor Series from an injury. Sting made his debut at Survivor Series. That's a place where you can surprise some people. So you can either have The Rock come out and challenge Roman at Survivor Series, and you get that build up from Survivor Series all the way to WrestleMania 39, or you do Cody and Roman one more time, 3rd consecutive pay-per-view. You go into Royal Rumble with Roman with the belt on him. That's where Roman would get the belt back at Survivor Series. You get Roman going into the Royal Rumble with the belt on. You have a surprise number 30 entrant of the Royal Rumble, which is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He throws everybody out of the ring. Roman and him have this massive stare down, and there's your build up for WrestleMania. That's my first year. My second year is you already have a massive babyface Cody Rhodes. You got AJ. You can turn Edge back to a face if you need to. You have guys that you can lean on now within this company. Then you call up Braun Breaker and you go, okay, this is the biggest match of all time. Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. I think Braun Breaker's going to be that big of a star. He's young. He knows what he's doing. He's great on the mic. He's got the appearance. He's got the look. People love him already. I know I'm not watching NXT right now, but I guarantee you if he came out already, he got a massive pop. He's a name that people know now because he inducted his uncle and his dad into the Hall of Fame. That's a guy that you can lean on. And look, Roman will be close to 40 by then.
Right.
So who's to say Roman's going to be around forever? You have guys in this company that you can use. You just have to know how to use them.
You gotta trust some of those guys. You know,
Omos will be out of WWE in 3 months.
Omos Giant Gonzalez 2.0. I mean, golly. Yeah, I'm not even gonna. I like the plan, man. I like that. I can see that.
That's one I can get behind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's logical. The fans get what they want because look, Roman's got a huge fan base now. We saw it at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got their ones up in the air with him and the Bloodline. Also, I think you have to put the belts on the Bloodline too. I'm
still a Shield member.
Belts. But then you have Roman and the Usos go back and forth from Raw to SmackDown every week. That's the only problem you're going to have because those guys are going to get tired out at some point. But it's definitely just a thought that you could have. Hell, Randy Orton can go back. He can be a heel or a face if you need him to be. And that dude, that dude's got more durability than any wrestler in the history of wrestling.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, he's probably got another 5-6 years in him. If you hear him talk on these podcasts and everything, because that RKO, 20 plus years of him hitting his back, starting to take.
Yes, but he's never had like a crazy major injury.
Oh no,
he's
no,
been
no,
out for periods of time. But he's just durable. He's a guy you can rely on week in and week out. And you're getting the same thing out of AJ Styles. Now that Edge is back, I think Edge is staying healthy. And who's to say you don't go get guys out of, like I even talked about in our private group chat last night. I talked about bringing Rusev back. I mean, he's pissed off at AEW. They're not using him. And he was supposed to be this mega star at AEW.
Yeah.
You can bring him back as a face. You can re-debut him as Miro if you want to. Whatever you want to do.
What about the Fiend?
That's him and Braun Strowman are two guys I just have huge question marks behind. I don't know what's going to happen in their wrestling careers.
Strowman, you're not going to see come back. He's already started his own promotion, and he's already.
Everybody comes back to WWE. He'll come back eventually. We had this discussion last week.
If Hogan can come back after the fallout that he had, and Bret Hart, Bret Hart came back. So if Hart and Hogan can come back, anybody can come back. It's time and money heals all.
Money talks, man, and that's one thing WWE's doing is making a lot of.
Yeah.
So, all right, MC, what in the world is going on in the world of All Elite? By the way, we're going to have a new intro video debuting soon for your segment on AEW.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, so everybody knows I lean more towards the AEW product right now than I do WWE. It just, for whatever reason, man, it just has my interest more. Last Friday night, and obviously I'm not alone because last Friday night, Rampage had its highest rated episode of 2022. So almost, not quite 1 million viewers, 800,000 is what I saw on the numbers that I looked at. But comparatively speaking, all the other Rampages so far this year had been in the 550 to 650 range. So for this one to jump up to 800,000 was quite the jump.
That's for this year, correct?
Yeah, just for 2022.
I was going to say, because when CM Punk came back.
That one was through the roof.
Crazy.
Yeah, that one was through the roof. That was back in August, and that was nuts. But as far as 2022 episodes go, this was the highest rated one, and they kicked it off with a bang, man. One of the best things I think they have going right now is the Blackpool Combat Club, which is Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, and Regal coming in, and so you had Bryan Danielson and Trent Beretta put on a really, really good match. Trent Beretta is one of the guys that, while he may not be the name, he certainly got the talent to match guys like Moxley and Bryan Danielson. It's just he doesn't have the overall persona that those guys have, the it factor, I guess, if you will. But that was a really, really good match. Of course, Bryan Danielson goes over with the win. And then, jumping down here towards the end of the show, you can look and see, the other segments and matches that went on with Rampage. But the other thing I wanted to point out on Rampage before I go talk about last week's Dynamite, John Moxley and Wheeler Yuta was the main event. And if you want to see a hard hitting, very stiff match between these two, it's like these two guys were just trying to match each other to see who could take the hardest shot in this match. Moxley, everybody knows Moxley's crazy, and there's not much he won't do in the ring. Wheeler Yuta had really stepped his game up in this match and showed what he's capable of. And honestly, he surprised me with some of the bumps that he took from Moxley. And then of course, he comes out and he gets busted open, and he has, he goes full Crimson Mask, which I'm an old school guy. Anytime you get guys fighting with the full on Crimson Mask, I'm there for it. It was, that was just a brutal match all the way through. And then something that you don't see much anymore is that at the end of the match, when Danielson and Regal come out to join Mox, normally when you see like a 3-on-1 situation like that, the 3 beat down the 1. Instead of doing that this time, they all showed him massive respect for the match that he just gave. So I thought that was a nice, unpredictable move there from what you would normally expect when you see the 3-on-1 situation. That match, if you can find it on YouTube, or if you've got access to Rampage on the TNT app, I recommend going to watch it, because it was a really good match for a non-pay-per-view event. My jaw kind of hit the floor watching that match. And as far as my jaw hitting the floor, if you go back to Dynamite, last week we were on Wednesday night and Dynamite was going on while we were on. One of the last things I said right before our show finished up was, hey, as soon as we're over, I'm flying downstairs to the TV because I want to see FTR and the Bucks Part 2. It's only the second time those two tag teams have met up since FTR has been in AEW. And you want to talk about a pay-per-view quality match. I mean, in my opinion, that's one of the best tag team matches that I've seen in I don't even know how long. Every aspect of it, the moves, the in-ring psychology, the storytelling, the timing on the hot tags. I mean, they used each other's finishing moves. I mean, it was poetry. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, man. It was so good that when Dynamite was over, I immediately went back on my DVR and watched that match again. That's how good it was.
So one of our guys watching from our YouTube channel says, "What are your thoughts on Yuta/Mox match? Also, do you like Yuta joining their faction, MC?"
I could see Yuta joining. I don't know, maybe if they were throwing us a little Easter egg there, when I mentioned the 3-on-1 situation there at the end and they showed Yuta respect rather than beating him down. He may be implanting a seed to kind of see what the audience reaction would be to Yuta joining up with Mox and Bryan Danielson in that faction that they have there with Regal. I think there's a possibility there that, you could see a new stable forming. Right now it's just Danielson and Mox. And, when they were building this up before Regal debuted, Danielson went to him and said, hey, what if we combine our powers here and we just run roughshod over the entire company, which, everybody jumped all over that and was like, hell yes, give us that. We want to see these two guys team up. And, Wheeler Yuta is one of those guys that I think his game could really be elevated by surrounding himself with not only Regal from a managerial standpoint, but then also having Mox and Danielson in his corner. I mean, that could be, AEW seems to be big on stables. So that could be the next stable that we see come together.
Well, like I said, I'm the WWE guy. I'm loyal watcher for 30 years. I'm trying to get into it. I'm telling
you though, man, if you have time, go find that Young Bucks FTR match, because FTR, I'm a big FTR guy anyway, but if you look at everything they've done over the past few weeks, they had the Ring of Honor match with the Briscoes, which was something that had been building for a while, because there had been a lot of Twitter promos basically being cut between Dax and one of I can't remember which Briscoe brother it was, but one of the Briscoe brothers, they had been going back and forth on Twitter for a couple months. And it seems like to me, I don't know what has really changed. I don't know if he's just got more confident or what, but Dax Harwood and his promos have gotten a lot better here in probably the last 3 to 4 months, and I don't know if he's just got the confidence now and he's just being more of himself, but these guys, they build themselves as a throwback tag team. And when they come up and they fired Tully Blanchard as their manager, it was kind of a head scratcher for me. I didn't see that one coming because if you're old school and you've got a legend like that in your corner, why would you get rid of him? But when Tully showed up to form the new stable at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, it made sense. And of course now, Dax Harwood keeps hinting around on Twitter and throwing out little Easter eggs that they want another legend in their corner as their manager. And, that legend is none other than Bret Hart. And if they are able to bring Bret Hart in to manage FTR, because if you watch that match the other night, there was a point in the match where FTR had double sharpshooters on both members of the Young Bucks at the same time. So you had the sharpshooters, and then there were several points in the match where Dax Harwood was using a move set Bret Hart made famous. It was like a sequence of moves that Bret Hart had in almost every match, and Harwood was doing it to a T. So, I mean, he's paying tribute to the guy, and he's made no bones about it. He and CM Punk are two of the most vocal guys about talking about the greatness of Bret Hart and how it's influenced their career and how they think he's just the greatest of all time. So you talk about a feather in the hat. If AEW could pull in Bret Hart, even if it's just a temporary run as manager for FTR, I think that would be, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch.
The excellence of execution, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
The other thing that I didn't mention on that, AEW's got this Owen Hart Memorial Tournament going on right now. So to me personally, if I'm going to bring Bret in, I bring him in at the pay-per-view where they're having the finals of this Owen Hart tournament and have him there. Even if he's not with FTR that night, you gotta have him there for that, right? You got to bring him in for that because this is a male and female competitor tournament both. So what better way to debut Bret than to have him come in, present whoever wins the tournaments with their trophy, their belt, whatever they're going to give them, and then maybe the next Dynamite, Rampage, whatever, FTR comes out. And
can Bret Hart use his Hitman song that he had in WWE in AEW, or is that owned specifically by WWE?
I don't know. That may have been a Jim Jones.
If Jim Jones wrote it, then there ain't no way they're ever using it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the only reason
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson. Yeah, Jim Johnson. Yeah.
I said Jones because MC said Jones. I meant to say
Johnson. That's my bad.
Yeah. Blame it on the new guy. Blame it on the new guy.
We're not talking about the cult leader. We're talking about Jim Johnson, the guy that wrote thousands upon thousands of WWE intro songs that are classics that everybody knows. So,
all right, Bum. So, switching gears for our last segment, we've got about 10 more minutes. Did you watch the UFC card from Saturday night?
I watched the final 3 fights on the card. I watched Khamzat Chimaev, who is just the biggest star right now in the MMA world, at least the most talked about guy, go out there and just put on one of the best fights I've ever seen against the Brazilian Gilbert Burns. Dana White, it was so good. Dana White gave the win money and the bonus to the guy who lost the fight too.
Wow.
Those guys just threw down. If y'all had watched that fight, you would have really, really been impressed. Sorry, if I lose it, it's because Pujols just launched another home run. He's up to bat right now. No, those guys were incredible in that fight. There was a little bit of everything. You also, in the co-main event, you had a title fight between Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan. That fight could have gone either way. I scored it 3-2 Peter Yan. but Aljamain Sterling could have won the fight as well. Pujols singled. I'm okay with that. But no, it was just it was a great matchup. I mean, that whole card, top to bottom, was just a really good card put together. Tony Khan and JR were in the building. It was really cool to see them there. I really enjoyed it, guys. I mean, and I love watching MMA, especially the big cards. And your big match of the night was Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie, and Volkanovski is just a different animal. I mean, I think Andy and I talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. That guy played rugby. He used to weigh damn near 300 pounds, and now he's fighting at 145. The guy is just an absolute tank. He hits like a freight truck. And Volkanovski just walked down the guy who was, quote, the Korean Zombie. Of course, the Korean Zombie's 35 years old now, so he's getting up there, but that's not to take anything away from him. It was just it was a absolute just masterclass of how good Volkanovski is. But yeah, guys, I mean, you got a lot of good cards coming up in the UFC world. I'm really excited about what they're going to be doing this summer. Conor McGregor's return should be this year at some point, coming off of his injury. You're going to have a bunch of stuff. You got John Jones talk happening, Francis Ngannou and his contract dispute and what they're going to do with the heavyweight championship. There's so much going on in that world, but I just can't get out of my head that whole fight between Khamzat and Gilbert. I mean, that was one of the best fights I've seen in years. I'm not willing to say it's the best fight of all time, but it's up there. It might win fight of the year.
Wow.
Which was awesome. I mean, you never see Dana White say, "Hey, I'm going to give the loser his win money and the bonus," and that's just the type of guys that those two are. I enjoy it thoroughly. If I had the card in front of me, I could probably go through the whole thing for you, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But yeah, guys, I got to get y'all on some UFC. We got to get y'all start watching because they are awesome cards. Dana White does an incredible job. He's the best promoter in the world next to Vince McMahon. And hell, Tony Khan's doing a pretty damn good job too himself. So it was fun. The crowd in Jacksonville, Florida was electric. It was just so much just the battles, man. I enjoy MMA so much because those guys are so skilled at what they do, so technical. They train just as much, if not more, than boxers. And I mean, they have to have more skills than boxers. They have to be able to box, wrestle, and submit somebody, you know. So, a lot of fun, guys. Sorry I got on late tonight. I had some stuff I had to do earlier. So
I was gonna say you sent me a message that said you were out tonight. So we were making adjustments, but I'm glad you came on, Bum. I really am.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. I enjoy being on here and talking all wrestling and fighting. So yeah,
wrap it up.
Last week, we didn't talk about this. Jeff Hardy did some crazy shit, excuse my language, through a table.
That's the best way to describe it, though. It was insane.
How old is Jeff Hardy? 45?
Yeah, he's like 45, 46.
Yeah, he's this age, man.
This dude's jumping around like he's 20.
Yeah.
I mean, when is he going to stop? I guess it's the years of the prescription drugs that's still in the system. But
come on, Bum. That's not right.
I mean, I know.
Is he wrong? I mean, that's, you know,
he's not. Joke. It really wasn't that lighthearted.
I mean, he's not wrong, but it's just still not right.
No, it's not. It was a lighthearted joke that probably shouldn't have been made. But that
sometimes
guy,
the truth hurts.
That guy's so incredible. I mean, he's going through tables and jumping off of ladders at his age. Dude, I'm 26. If I jumped off a ladder and went through a table, I'd want to die.
He's close to my age. He and I are very close. I think he might be a year or so older than me. But if I tried to do half of the stuff that he does, at my age, dude, I'd be bedridden for a month. There's no
It's
way.
the prescription drugs, I tell you.
Yeah, it has to be something, man. I mean, it's still impressive though to see him do what he's doing at this age and at this point in his career when everybody thought he was done.
Yeah. Y'all got anything else before we get out of here tonight?
I'm good, man. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. And watch Dynamite tomorrow night and Rampage on Friday and SmackDown on Friday.
Couple of serious notes before we get out of here, fellas. Our thoughts and prayers are going to be with the fellas in Brooklyn, New York after the attack on the subway up there today. And also keep in mind, if you're in Arkansas, be weather aware tonight and tomorrow. It's going to get bumpy. It's going to get loud. And if you live in the Jacksonville, Cabot area, get out, help your neighbor clean up after the storm out there on Monday night. Our next broadcast coming to you live Friday night inside the Hog Pen, 7 p.m. Myself and MC. I put on my other persona. I've got like 3 personas on this network. It's crazy. But later, Bum. 7 p.m. We're gonna be talking Razorback baseball and a bunch of other things. MC, I'm sure between now and then we'll come up with something crazy to talk about.
There's some chatter out there that there might be another basketball Razorback hitting the transfer portal. So we'll see what happens with that between now and Friday night. But
other than that, dude, it has been great. We want to thank everybody for watching and commenting from the Sidecar Cafe Arena. I'm ZK. That's MC. Thank you for joining us on the 4 Star Sports Radio Network. We will see you all next week.